This is John Ogden with Money Summit, and we're here today to talk with Glenn Van Deusen of Van Deusen and Levitt Associates. And we'd like to start by just having you introduce yourself and your company.
Great, thanks John, appreciate it. So Glenn Van Deusen, as you said, with Van Deusen Levitt Associates, one of the co-founders of the firm. We are a corporate branding firm. We work extensively with banks and credit unions to help them understand their equities in their brand. Who are they? What do they mean to their members and to their customers? What equities do they hold that can be leveraged? How are they seen in the marketplace? How do they want to be seen in the marketplace? And then from a very fact-based perspective, developing branding, whether that's naming, positioning, identity, all the way through design execution into websites, conference materials, sales materials, educational materials for members and customers and so on.
So what would you say over the past 10 years has changed when it comes to branding in financial services?
I think one of the bigger changes within the credit union space in particular has been just a greater awareness of the need for branding.
Okay.
I think you're seeing that particularly here at this conference, right? Financial Brand Forum, now in its third year.
Right.
So again, I think a greater recognition of how to separate yourself, how to better differentiate yourself in the marketplace. Branding has such an essential role in doing that, and I think that's just really starting to gain traction, particularly within the credit union space now.
It's fascinating. So what might have a credit union done 10 years ago that they might be rethinking now?
Yeah, they would have been doing more transactional-based communications. They would have been doing more internally, as opposed to reaching out to a corporate branding expert firm like ours as an outside resource. There's greater interest in looking for people with those particular specialties like we have, rather than trying to do it alone. And credit unions have obviously gotten larger. There's some massive credit unions in the country now that because of their greater size and capabilities, I think it also brings in a greater degree of need for the types of services that we provide.
That's great. So what obstacles are getting in the way of building a great brand?
Wow, that's a good question. I think one of the biggest things that we've seen with the clients that we've worked with, the credit union clients in particular, is research has been done to understand their brand, to understand their brand health, if you will, to kind of do an audit of what they have as a brand. And typically it's been done by market research firms or advertising agencies who look at how people are behaving, what people are saying, which is all good data. But unfortunately, it often doesn't go deep enough to understand not just what and how, but why.
Okay.
Why are people acting that way? Why are people saying what they're saying? Why do people believe what they believe? Whether that perception matches reality or not.
Right.
Understanding the why is what we really get to in this fact-based approach that we take. So we do a lot of individual interviews with the credit unions, with their tellers, with their management, with their boards. We do qualitative research with members and prospective members. We do quantitative research. And really from a fact-based standpoint, understand not only the what and the how, but why that behavior is taking place. And from that, we can then develop proper positioning, proper messaging, proper branding, and sometimes even new names and new identities.
What's an example of a good why question that you might ask a member to figure out their behavioral motivations?
Sure. Well, take, for instance, what's going on with the whole change into digital technology and digital banking, mobile banking, and so on. Again, you'll ask, well, do you use a mobile device for your banking?
Okay.
How often do you use it for your mobile banking? And you'll get all the percentages, 50% or 40% of millennials use it 50% of the time or more. But okay, well, why do you use it only 50%? Why don't you use it more?
Okay.
And then they'll say, well, it's more convenient, or I like to do it when I'm not in the office or something. Okay, well, why is that?
Yeah.
And it's almost like having a 2-year-old. You know, that why? And you keep asking why until you finally get to kind of that core issue that's really driving behavior. So a lot of it's just the techniques we use in our interviews. A lot of it's the techniques we use in our qualitative research, and some of it is just good research design in our quantitative studies. We also have a unique driver analysis that is kind of like a net promoter score on steroids, where we are able to take key attributes about a credit union and member behavior, and then take that attribute and relate it back to intent to recommend or likelihood to try new products, so that we know not only, again, what the attributes are, how they rate and how they rank, but more importantly, how those drive actual acquisition of new membership, how they drive loyalty, how they drive cross-selling opportunities.
So finally, what do you think that banks and credit unions really need to be keeping their eye on over the course of the next 10 years when it comes to branding?
I think probably a lot of the same right now. There's going to be, again, there's, I think, a lot of untapped opportunities to brand credit unions more positively, more powerfully, so that they can differentiate themselves. Obviously, the consolidation in the credit union space is going to be a contributor to that.
Sure.
That's going to be something to watch.
Sure.
As more and more credit unions and banks get better in their digital applications, that's going to be something to watch. But at the end of the day, again, we are a branding firm. We do brand strategy, we do brand design. That is our sweet spot.
Sure.
The types of things that we are involved with in terms of positioning of the organization and naming and identities and so on are things that don't change month to month. They don't change year to year. It's not like developing an ad campaign for the next month or for the next quarter.
Sure.
So the types of things that we do are things that have much more permanence, much greater longevity. So I think, to answer your question about the changes that are coming, I think there are a lot of the changes you're seeing right now already taking place that we talked a little about earlier, continuing.
Well, thanks so much for joining us, Glenn.
Great. Well, thank you.
It's great to talk to you.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.